Ghana for just a year Christmas bonanza ye by the a kikiman kasa. Now wunim dia ababio. Just say a year the constitution ya a war ye maimu. So the ye amendments, kase amendments, changes upon changes. Yes, sa near mem ye be a free to be a good be a shisha mama. Just say Ghana mino aquanenim in puntuo just a bibia akoso one. Na eno na ya constitutional amendment. So baby say na a day in a constitution nima. Yes, say what say you bussy. And ye you assume net me. Say, opesa we ya omampenyi a emra bebre aba na aye fufofo enso so obi abetumi aye omampenyi ana wunji ndi enye ye ready hyase boabo awone ma no se wo ye obabunu nko ade a tutuwana moye na tie me na yenhwe say afia election ye ebe obetumi astandi aba be ye omampenyi ana se wuntumi emma be ye omampenyi na ensesaye na ewo constitution ni mu no ebi NSA say ye mampenyi say uye omampenyi na aba betena so a only 2 good terms 2 woni hu kwan say ukobro mienu sanya enkane no na omampenyi bi betena so a otumi tena akonya ne so a mfie baako mfie mienu mfie miensa ana say okọ emprensa so no ene ne nan so no se die ye twam waba baako mienu na ise foforo enso aba stand na ono so aba betena so bi timinim se mienu na ye koyi de eye dan a onso kofi mosi adwo amansa eno wonso ebedru so ama wonso aba betena akonya ne so bi na enu echi no so ye insesaye bebre enso biom ebi enso ne say senkan no enka yo mampenyi a wotena so infie mako 4 good years infie 9 enanka wotena so se omampenyi ahwe amagana bibia akoyi na eno na yehu say eno emwa every say obeye omampenyi a sa 4 years very limited into 4 years nim no o de beko for thank you tour say ye to aba ne ma na obinya o de emu infie baako ko thank you tour sa infikro na emu na o de be yi MPs ahodo just appointment ahodo a wo ba be yen sa infie na emu na o de ba be o wi a wako thank you tour na ban o de infie baako betina wagwem ahome ama say akwa aba foforo wo say ye de ma o ne ye de ama enu achi no afi na baby say na efie handsome etesen omampenyi na oteso dada ana mia na meteso no adwuma ban meyeye enu achi no afi na wo bedwendwen say na sesei eden na mede ba begu akwam amaye man atu mpon ana say yakoyenim sa infie enan yi na yahwemu say enya dia eboa kra inti sesei dia ya na infie Poly infie num kase 5 good years. Yes, 5 years. Nti they say die omampenyi bi ababa betena so bia o kon infie num. Na eno na Ghana fo bebre so ka say, na infie num yi die nka ya sempa efi say ebedu ho no. Na watumi atoto wakwan so bibia eda so pepepepepepe. Na say yekonya omampenyi a ana say de ababa betena so na mamuo enkoyi a na ne say tashi ketase hye ene proye ne die ene na lawu yewu anisa bibia ebeye basa ne ye ho bekire ye sa infie num no na wo so wadwenkire e wo ho anything na waja no comment section ho enso amame afei so amendments no insesaye na yegusu aye no emaburu a omwo omanyimu monka se hure hip hure ye na ye ba no say moma kwan clear road ye na ye ba say so pese wo be ye omampenyi a enkane no na nke wo say wenya 40 good years 40 years ansana wetumi akopere omampenyi akonya no anase omampenyi di bre no ansana wetumi ababet na omanyi so ababehwe so na so say de ya tete so say who cha say ya teso to say high sense ne ma no ana so say de so person obeye omampenyi a wonni ohaw bia wo de hyase pe won krata documentations bia aboaboa no na anyanya infie 30 a infie 30 no onyanya infie aduasa ene watu adi wo ho kwan say utumi beye omampenyi cha say 30 ne de aduasa fo no congratulations it would do 30th birthday no one will say utumi pre omampenyi akonya no so wo bibia esisu pepepe de a ene na mema wo congratulations in advance say oba beye omanpanyin ewo man na eno na ye hu say youth na ye be ye IQ level ne e ko soro nkokrafo no omo slow things down but say youth no ye koyenim nti wo ye youth na wanya mfie 30 ne dia mfie aduasa no na yese waboaboa ho na ya hwe wanim say o ba be ye omanpanyin ewo oman mu eno echi nsosaye no so de say bocho ya ye nsosaye ne bi say wonya be ye omanpanyin a enkane no na ye omanpanyin a ukra ne ma aba oman mu a taxes no ebi wo ho a tax free ebi so wo ho a tax ketwe bi na nka betua na nso say de say ukra ne ma eba oman mu as omanpanyin dia ene na ene wa ye obotom so kufu say wo betua tax a emu eden na nso ye de aboa ama oman yi impumtuo nyina akoso project akese a ye be ye no ni nyina be free with tax nti say wa ye wadwen so your man panyin na wundi eye made in Ghana goods na de bia ye be ye imports na exports no ye ma ye exports na enkosoro na importations no ebe kosoro dia ene ye ready say tax no wan kasa u ba betua no kafu enso ama oman Ghana abusia nsam yinchina mu de eye bocho constitution no nsesaye ana amendments changes a yaye ewo constitution nim enso embra
abusia for breaking news constitutional review committee are recommend say presidential tenure na 4 years no yensesa no 5 years and I agree because His Excellency John Dramani Mahama na no yai watwa 1 year na just aka 3 years na omonsesa na President Mahama entwa 1 year nka ho. You understand? I feel like we are not going to have enough of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. You get it? So it's a very good idea. Mekura kabenya omo extending for 2 years. Now problem I want to say edruba bi na enya caricature bi so e. Edruba bi na enya na nado look alike bi. Edruba bi na enya na nado look alike bia na ye koyara se
abusia sa wa wate wahwemu nsem nti say de obi antam chuku say omanpanyin akonya ne de wo ho kwan se otumi di se wo bibia enam na kwan mu pepepe dia ene ye hwe hwan na eba ba ye the next president e wo man mu na omanpanyin otisu say no Ghana for ka say obetumi akọ ne mana ananso say no ontumi nko ana omanpanyin fufa obeba the next election ne so na ye start when na ye amount for reactions ha omo kan efa say amendments na ya ye ewo Ghana constitution no na eno so ma ye rain fi say so we ye MP ewo oman mu a me chair member of parliament a so say yin sesaye no ababe say woni hu kwan say obeba ba ya minister wonni hu kwan sa wo be ye minister esa ye MP nti no sa wo ye minister na wo ye former and outgone minister dia ene hure wo hu kwan say oba betina akonya ne so as a minister nti MPs na omo aban atwam no ana omo akọ omo fie oje omo ahome no omo wo hu kwan say ye start bibia emrano constitution na sha asese eye adwuma omo wo hu kwan say omo so betumi akofo ministerial positions ahodo a ewo oman ni abusia momen konkotie amanfo so adwencha omo kan efa say nsesaya aba oman mu a ye hwe constitution ye efa omanpanyin ne MPs ne de ekoso wo oman ni mu. And so embra
1 more year, so that effectively means that 4 years to 5 years, 1 term, and a few others. We're going to run through it as I indicated. And Professor Bafo Agyeman-Duah is a governance expert, former senior governance advisor to the United Nations. He's going to be joining us on Zoom for his quick thoughts on this. But parts of the recommendations has it, and I'm going to put it on the screen right now. The committee recommends an amendment to Article 66(1) to extend the length of a president's term from 4 to 5 years. They also say a person must attain to qualify for election as president from 40 to 30 years. So what that means is that the current position of the law, the constitutional provision for eligibility to contest as a presidential candidate in this country as an independent or on the ticket of a political party is 40 years and above. What this Constitutional Review Committee is recommending in this report, after their extensive, wide consultative process, is that that should be reduced to 30 years. So if you're 30 years, you tick the boxes of all the other requirements, you're of sound mind and so on, you can put up yourself to be president of the Republic of Ghana. There have been some varied views on it. We'll put a question on social media for a number of you to share your thoughts on this particular one. This one, reduction of the age of eligibility to be president, to contest as president and be president of the Republic of Ghana from 40 to 30 years. Some very interesting views you've been sharing with us. We'll get into it. But they said no member of parliament may be appointed a minister of state or a deputy or regional minister. So you see, then this is another area as well that the committee's report has generated some conversation, because then it goes to counter the constitutional provision of the executive appointing more than half of its ministers from parliament, just to ensure checks and balances and not the strict separation of powers as some other countries practice. But as to why this proposal is also going to be another aspect of the conversation in the coming days as well. But a member of parliament who resigns from parliament shall not be eligible for appointment as a minister of state or a deputy minister of state or a regional minister. A petition to challenge the validity of the election of a person declared as president-elect shall be brought by a citizen of Ghana to the Supreme Court within 14 calendar days after the declaration of the results of the election. Take note of this. Also, there was a proposal to take away the Attorney General's authority to prosecute corruption and corruption-related offenses. They are making a proposal for the establishment of a commission that would be giving the powers of the prosecutory powers to prosecute corruption and corruption-related offenses, and that power now they are recommending they should be taken away from the Attorney General. Now we'll hear from Martin Kpebu on this one as well. He's going to be joining us. So, and this and many others. But Professor Bafo Agyeman-Duah is a former senior governance advisor to the United Nations, and he's joining us on Zoom right now. Prof, good evening. Thank you for joining us. I just ran through some snippets of this report. You've been combing through it as well. It's fresh on the plate, so it's going to take quite a while. But what's your initial view of some of the major proposals that this committee has made in this report that we've seen now?
Thank you, and thanks for having me. First of all, let me say that I'm very pleased that the president, promising his campaign to initiate constitutional review, has really become fruitful on that matter. And I'm happy that early in his tenure, he set this up. And fortunately for us also, the people he placed on the committee are all very capable people. And I'm not surprised at all at the kind of findings and recommendations that they presented to the president. I think after 32 or so years of this constitution, even though the constitution has served us, it has stabilized us, we are referred to as perhaps the very stable democracy in West Africa, if not in the whole of the continent. But still, experience has taught us that there are certain critical issues that need to be reviewed. And more importantly, as we see the reversal of democracy in some other African countries, especially in our part of Africa, West Africa, that also should alert us to the necessity for re-energizing our constitutional system. As I said, several, but there were some essential factors. And I think the committee has very adroitly captured the sentiments of the people, because most of these issues are not new. We've been advocating for change for years, and the president himself is very much aware, being around for such a long time in our democracy. So I'm happy that in the end, these recommendations, most of them may appear to be radical, are well deserved. And I think we should just look forward to how we get them off the ground and become actionable.
Perfect. And there are some far-reaching recommendations and proposals in there. You heard Professor H. Kwesi Prempeh indicate that the bit about a third term for the president didn't find space in the report. That's number one. And the fact that the president himself is not even, interested in that conversation, he's stated his position quite clearly on it a number of times. But let's look at this. Now they're proposing an increase of the term limit, that's from 4 years to 5 years, 2 terms. How does this strike you? Especially because I recall that this is a matter that the former president, John Agyeku Kufuor, whom you work closely with, had made that proposal at some point, in fact, before he exited office. So now that it's been captured in a document, ostensibly to be considered for the review of our constitution, how does this strike you, this particular one?
Again, doesn't surprise me. Look, when former President Kufuor was leaving office, in fact, his very last address to the nation, he recommended the need to at least make it a 5-year tenure for presidents from his own experience. And it's very true. You win the presidency, even though some may argue that before you become president, you know who is going to work for you. Yes, but generally not true. You win the presidency, you have to appoint new people. And most of the people who may be appointing may not have any experience at all in governance. So you are putting them in places such as the ministries and other very important state institutions. They have to learn the ropes, and it could take them months. So I think the first year of any new president is the year of adjusting and seeking to see how the agenda can be carried out. You see, one thing that I think has made President Mahama so far successful in his second tenure, for me, is his experience, the experience he had for the first term that he was in office. He learned everything. So for him, his vision was sharper this time than before. And as you can tell, he came in and started right away moving his agenda forward. So that may not be the same with new presidents and new appointees that he may have. So I think 4 years, you spend 1 year adjusting. The 2 years, you are seriously working on your agenda. And then 3 years up. Then as a politician, knowing that you need a second term, your attention now begins to shift to campaigning to win again. And that doesn't allow our government to really consolidate some of the initiatives that they introduce. So I think the 5-year term that has been proposed is a good one.
Abusha, also meaning I also will be can say, oh, adventure be and now per se for be before for and come one. Michelle, drop in our comment section or now share video and so a month for any be and share. Now almost so into me, almost so adventure or comment section or Michelle, I get to studios and then your day, the can share your video. Yeah, follow your channel, not share my afu for and so and mammy. Yama obibia afishiapa.